welcome back to FinTech Live New York. Next up, our next panel discussion, and I assure you this is one you absolutely will not want to miss today. We are talking digital banking innovation. That's in association with Amazon Web Services, AWS. So let's hand over from the studio to our guest moderator today. That is Shaheen Kanda, Global Category Lead, Financial Services and Insurance, AWS, Technology Partnerships. The floor, as they say, Shaheen, is yours.
Thanks, Neil. Hello, and thank you for joining us today. My name is Shaheen Kanda, and today we will spend the session talking about digital banking innovation. We'll review the opportunities and challenges facing the industry. And we will highlight some innovative banking solutions available through AWS Marketplace. Be sure to stay for the Q&A discussion at the end of this session. Before we dive in, I want to introduce our esteemed guests. Our first guest is Seth McGuire, Chief Revenue Officer at Galileo. Seth is responsible for expanding Galileo's client relationships and scaling marketing, partnerships, and business development functions for additional growth. Our second guest is Brad Fisher, the head of sales at Accern. With over 25 years of sales and consulting experience across both Fortune 500 companies and startups, Brad is responsible for driving Accern's natural language processing solution across financial services clients and FinTech partners. It is important to understand today's landscape in banking. There are many drivers: increased consumer sophistication, new regulations such as PSD2 in the US, EU, and UK, and new digital-only banking licenses in Hong Kong, Malaysia, Taiwan, and Singapore, more data and analytics, and maturity of APIs. These have come together to enable ecosystems where they can interact using the power of technology. Following similar moves in the UK and Europe, financial industry participants, including regulators in APAC, are now taking concrete steps to discover what digital banking means to them. Increasing usage of smart devices, improved connectivity, and demand for high-end user experience are amongst the key aspects driving the digital transformation trend, taking services to the customer's doorstep. Consumers increasingly expect personalization, convenience, and an enhanced user experience. According to Forrester, the key components of the digital banking concept are the consumer-centric approach, personalization of the offer, and mobility. These three elements optimize the infrastructure of a bank, making it ready for digital communication and a rapid change in approach when needed. Currently, there's a high intensity of the innovation race in regards to new services and products. Being the first one in the market offers a great deal of business opportunity, and banks know it. To keep up with an innovation pace, banks turn to the agile flexibility in the development of FinTech solutions. Now let's hear from our first guest, Seth, and how the Galileo team is actively helping the industry drive digital banking innovation. Over to you, Seth.
Great. Thanks so much, Shaheen. I'm going to present here and bring up something as we talk. But while I do so, Galileo is a financial technology company that enables fintechs, financial institutions, and emerging brands to build financial solutions that are very customer-centric. And so we're going to talk through today how we enable digital innovation through those different product sets and how we help a lot of different client types bring those digital innovations to life with different banking and payment paradigms. So jumping right into it, going to give you a little bit of overview of our platform. Like I was saying, Galileo works with the digitally native. We help organizations start with that digital experience, that customer experience that consumers and businesses have come to expect. And from there, build frictionless financial services and products. Now that has to involve a lot of things in today's market. That has to be highly configurable. It has to give omni-channel capabilities. It has to ensure that you're regulatory compliant. There's a lot that is inherently required of banking and payment solutions, but all of that needs to be done with a digital first mindset, because again, consumer and business expectations are when you're talking about payments, you're talking about banking, it's going to start with digital. And so we're very focused on an end customer experience, although we serve the companies who are building programs and products for those end consumers. So Galileo is comprised of two platforms that have come together into the overall Galileo platform. It's Galileo and Technisys, both of which acquisitions from SoFi Technology, who have built them into kind of a tech platform that is meant to serve these banking and payment paradigms. So we work across North and South America and are in 16 countries across those two. We serve, as I said, both banks and fintechs, which is a little bit unique. The banking and payment infrastructure we provide supports those who are chartered financial institutions and have certain regulatory needs, as well as those who are not chartered financial institutions and are looking instead to kind of build an embedded experience that serves that end consumer. So again, that's within banking and payments. It's front and back end systems, as you'll see. There's a lot here that starts with that digitally native experience. How do you bring a consumer in, kind of support them in their banking or payment requests, but then how do you manage that on the back end too? How do you connect to the historic payment rails you have to? Things like MasterCard and Visa and Discover, or banking institutions where you need to move deposits or issue loans. So working amongst, again, this kind of new digital landscape while tying it back to a historic landscape of banking and payments is really the area we operate in, and helping customers manage that complexity while building, again, digitally forward product sets. Who we serve ranges across, again, financial institutions. These are larger financial organizations across those 16 countries I talked about. Organizations like HSBC or Banco Patagonia, but then non-financial brands as well. Organizations who have an existing business and they're building something embedded that speaks to a specific customer need that's there. So companies like H&R Block and Toast or Banco Falabella. And we'll talk a bit about some of those examples as we get further in. And then lastly, of course, we serve the digital challengers. So companies who are looking to build innovation into the space, but kind of challenging the status quo and saying, hey, there's a better, easier, customer-forward way to do this than maybe has been done in the past. And so we're really proud of our partnership with organizations like Dave and Moneyline and Funbox and Lilly. So some of the names you see on the page here. But what do we actually do with these organizations? We're talking a lot about this high level of building banking and payment programs. Well, we do a number of different things. So we look at customer digital experiences when it comes to the banking space as a mix of above the glass and below the glass. Above the glass is consumer engagement, right? How are you actually working with your end customers, whether they're businesses or individuals? How are they interacting with the payment or banking program that you're creating? And so the service sets that we offer there are a mix of web and mobile banking. So this is web and mobile devices, tools, UI, UX layers that enable you to build a seamless experience. So if you have existing architecture or you're trying to build a new customer journey, say customer onboarding financial product, this is a mix of different paradigms that allow you to instantly launch those things, right? Going all the way from the front end work to an orchestration layer to tie back to existing systems of record. Conversational banking. We'll talk a bit more about this later, but we have an empathetic conversational AI engine that's meant to help manage customer questions, interactions, frustrations, and not only to manage and reduce costs within that, but then to do an empathetic handoff in places where that AI engine's not able to answer those questions for you. Then we do physical card issuance and virtual card issuance. And so the creation of the actual cards and tying those cards to the banking industry and then managing authorizations and transaction flow from them on the front end. So when someone goes to swipe a card at a grocery store, that swipe goes through the authorization networks and comes back to Galileo that approves it, saying, yes, there's a balance here. This is approved, this is managed. The actual virtual card issuance, the visual card issuance associated with that. So that's above the glass. That's how end consumers would see us. They'll never see the name Galileo there, right? They'll see our clients' names there. But those are all the pieces we're managing on behalf of our clients that touch the consumers. Below the glass is where I think things get really interesting, and where we've done a lot of partnership with Amazon Web Services here to support the infrastructure we've built for these digital native environments. And those are pieces like payment processing. That authorization flow I was just talking about requires a lot of complexity in managing that inbound traffic from networks and merchants to say, well, what are we going to approve? What are we not? What does the balance look like? It's managing money movement and managing kind of onboarding and off-flowing wraps of capital. Then you have deposit and lending accounts. There's a lot of complexity within creating depository accounts and creating lending accounts here, depending upon what type of financial institution you are. Are you a chartered financial institution who needs a modern banking core that can actually manage the complexity and regulatory compliance aspects of having kind of a full customer system of record? Or are you simply trying to manage a wallet of some sort that ties back to a depository institution? Like our range of products encompasses all those use cases and enables you to build the right system of record to then manage things like physical card issuance or payment processing and others. Lending accounts, very similar, right? A lot of complexity in lending as you think about things like short-term installment lending or point of sale, buy now, pay later, all the way to kind of more complex long-term loans that need to be managed. So our lending account structure underneath the glass, again, helps manage that complexity for clients, holding that customer system of record so that you're able to focus on the interaction with them that gets them the capital they need versus managing in the background. And then lastly, what we like to call fin crime mitigation, which is a pretty fancy way of saying we try to help prevent fraud and prevent risk within the industry. So obviously, as more financial products grow, there's a lot more demand for products that help manage risk and manage fraud within the entire transaction flow. Starting all the way from, is this a real person who's creating an account, to is that card swipe a real card swipe from the person who owns the account? And so we have a range of products here that help to manage those pieces. Now, in the United States, especially, one of the unique ways that we operate is, as I talked about, enablement of partners who may not be chartered financial institutions themselves. While all those products in the previous page can be applied to chartered financial institutions who are going to own this themselves, there's a number of organizations out there who are not chartered institutions, like a Dave or a Moneyline or a Monzo. And the way we support them is acting as that intermediary, again, between them and 30 plus sponsor banks who may be the actual deposit holders or the BIN card holders when it comes to issuing cards. And so one of the really unique things we do is the ability to move between those two worlds, chartered financial institutions and non-charter, and say, what are you trying to build? What's the customer pain point you're solving? Which kind of, again, gets back to the digital innovation. 10, 15 years ago, it'd be very difficult to build this sort of intermediary environment, right? You'd have a lot of challenges. But when you start with an API first, digital first approach to product sets, you're able to create a really flexible and unique platform that starts with, what's the consumer problem you're trying to solve? And from there, we're able to back into the right digital product set to serve them. So regardless of who you are, whether you're a brand, a financial institution, a non-financial institution, we can help you build that payment and banking program that you need to serve that customer. Now, an example we pulled together here, we recently launched a Pay in 4 product that enables you to use all those pieces I talked about below the glass to create a really unique above the glass experience. So in this dynamic, any organization that has a customer set already, a set of customers, let's say you have 10,000 users on your platform, and you want to offer them some ability for flexible purchasing. Like within our product set, you're able to bring together those lending accounts, that payment processing, card creation, and then some of those banking management pieces to easily launch a product within 3 to 6 weeks that would enable you to offer them installment loans up to a certain amount. So you can flexibly configure it to say, hey, if I'm working with contractors, for example, and those contractors need to go to Home Depot or Lowe's and make a purchase of materials to serve for a job. So that they're going to be managing this job. They need to purchase about $500 worth of lumber. You're able to pre-qualify them for that loan, and then create a virtual card that enables them to use up to $500 in a purchase at any point of sale they choose. So they would go to Home Depot or Lowe's, and at the time of purchase, simply apply that virtual card to the checkout. And then from there, we would support you in managing that balance. So you'd be able to do things like, we're going to have them pay a little bit up front, pay $100 of it up front, and then pay $125 from thereafter until it's paid off. So there's really flexible configuration here. And we love products like this because, again, a long time ago, this would have been a very difficult to launch product. One of the ways we're trying to support organizations in building to consumer needs, though, is by reducing the friction to bring those new products to market. And so in a dynamic like this, you're able to use that different products that we have to wrap together into a very nice Pay in 4 example that serves a real specific need of your customers for working capital in this case. Most of our product sets work this way. And again, what we like is the ability, and especially leveraging AWS, to wrap little bits and pieces of that together and to create new solutions, to give you a full tech stack overview and rewrite, or to start new with kind of a small bit of it. All of this is dynamic and flexible and configurable. The other way we operate is certainly pre and post delivery. And so, we look at this and say, for the most part, we ourselves host on AWS. And so if we're deploying on your behalf and kind of operating, we're using AWS to do so. But we do have deployment models that allow you to host and take pieces of that in-house. If you already have some cloud there, you can start using it on yours. And then we can run and operate different pieces of that, managing your system performance and system availability on the other pieces. And again, we ourselves do that on AWS. And so we've built out a comprehensive and secure stack here that we're really proud of. But as you need pieces of that may have to live in other places, we know you have other partnerships and vendors. We're able to leverage that while ourselves continuing to bring back to AWS. Now, across those, one of the main challenges for banking has always been, well, I can offer this product, but then there's a whole range of services I need to support too. And so one of the unique things Galileo offers is a number of different service elements that you can leverage as you're launching a program. We can scale it with you, or at some point you can use different components that you need in-house. So there's a range of these that we offer. One, our payment risk platform. Again, this is a growing area of need across the industry, is just managing risk. And so we bring a wide variety of tools, data sets, and machine learning ourselves to be able to identify different points of risk and fraud across the entirety of account creation all the way through to transaction monitoring, where you're saying, hey, is that purchase a purchase you made? Can we flag and identify those things at the point it happens, versus creating more costly consumer experiences where you're disputing something and there's a chargeback process. Now, sometimes those happen regardless, in which case we do offer chargeback and dispute services that say, well, if there was an area or purchase that you're not sure of, you don't want to necessarily stand up a full team to manage those. You don't want to interact with the networks of the bank. We'll manage that for our clients on their behalf. Some other interesting area that is certainly, again, we leverage AWS for: regulatory and compliance data and data and analytics. These are both places we've made heavy investment because they're really critical to the success of our partners and their programs. So when it comes to regulatory and compliance data, obviously banking in the United States, a lot of changes happening right now. You need access to data about your consumers, access to the product sets, access to the configurations. You need to be able to easily access information there to ensure you remain in compliance. And we support customers with that, with the platform that we've built, as well as data and analytics. How are we performing, right? Where are there places we can manage these programs? Are we seeing uptake on new products that we wanted? Who are the customer types that we're seeing adopt that? Those are all places where we think more unique and access to data and analytics is critical for you to make the right investments in your program that you have to. As I mentioned a few times here, obviously huge fans of AWS and have built ourselves on there. And so our tech team could do this slide more justice, but I will say it has even permeated to the sales and revenue side, how much we have used a number of different services from our partners here. I think given the industry we're in, some of the key characteristics of that are certainly scalability, right? We are doing an enormous number of transactions on a daily basis, processing those, managing those. And so we need high performance scale and flexibility that allows us to ensure our customers will stay up. At the same time, security is paramount. Like, we are talking about banking and payments after all. And so knowing that data is encrypted at rest and in flight, knowing that we're leveraging the best-in-class security that AWS offers, and that security controls are actually embedded throughout the platform is really critical to us. It's not just critical to us to assure our clients, it's critical from a regulatory standpoint. And so the ability to ensure that that is built into the platform we're using is really important to us. Last but not least is the developer experience. I think we're all aware that, to really build a best-in-class digital product, you have to have developers on board, right? Developers have to feel that you have APIs that are easy to use, that it's documented, that your sandbox environment is up to snuff. Things like that are really critical for us to getting developer adoption of our product set, which is necessary for them to build a best-in-class consumer experience. So digital, in my mind, does start with that developer experience. And so we're really proud of what we built here on AWS and in partnership with them. So with that, I want to come to a few different examples of, we've talked about these products, but what do those mean, right, when it comes down to it? So one example that we're talking through here is Banco Falabella. Banco Falabella is a 100% digital bank. It has millions of clients across LATAM, and it grew incredibly quickly, right? So as they launched this digital bank in Chile, practically overnight, it's run up into one of the primary and most successful digital banks in Latin America. So it's got a presence in 5 countries and more than 6 million customers. So how we've worked with them is really in building the customer experience and interface within that banking app, so that there are journeys there that accommodate the overall digital experience of their clients in Chile, Argentina, Peru, Colombia, and Mexico. So some of the things we've done with them are, well, one, we help them build out their overall broad digital banking experience. So a mobile first, digital start, web, kiosk, and human-assisted interaction basis. So across all of their properties, they have this consistent interface with clients where they're opening accounts, creating accounts, managing their various range of payment and banking products. So getting that digital interaction is really important, because what you don't want is inconsistency across the customer's interaction with you, right? You don't want it to feel differently than when they go to one of your properties than another. They want to feel like they're getting the same information on those places, that they have the same experience, and that there's, your approach to them has not changed depending upon web, mobile, or kiosk. So as we created that kind of continuous digital environment for them, we then helped them to launch a set of different products underneath there. One of those was a digital wallet. Another was a buy now, pay later system, which they were able to implement in a number of different retail locations. Then a 100% digital credit card and account. So an entirely digital credit card opening, account management, and issuance process for them. Then integrating that experience again with other mobile configurations they had. So getting digital cards created within a smartphone app for QR and NFC payments, and then kind of a chat channel to answer questions on that. That would include kind of omni-channel interactions with branches. So as you think about this again, what's unique about Banco Falabella is you have a number of different properties where, again, you want an entirely digital approach to banking and payments, where every interaction they take is able to be managed within the app or the website. So they're saying, hey, I want to create this buy now, pay later. I want to create this wallet. I want to check that balance. I want to make a payment. I want to ask a question. The ability to do all that managed across these countries in a very simple digital interface is really what we are proud to build with them. And so they've got a great product there across those countries that has been a lot of fun for us all to see succeed. Another great example of this is HSBC. So HSBC, a little different, but as well, we built a new banking experience and app for them that enabled them to kind of within a single country, Uruguay, kind of create a best-in-class banking experience in the iBanca app. Right. So working with them, we focused on kind of the balance of security and user experience. So HSBC wanted a digital first app here. They wanted something that consumers were excited to work with, but they needed to, one, abide by corporate UX standards, and two, ensure that they were meeting security parameters and kind of all the needs of HSBC Uruguay as well. And so we partnered with them to kind of build out this user experience that used our knowledge of best-in-class digital journeys and said, well, here's how you want to build your mobile and app experience, while also incorporating those overall corporate standards and saying, well, here's what HSBC requires from a branding or kind of account management process, as well as, again, those security components that are really necessary for a bank like HSBC to meet. And so this was another great experience there where you tied together a couple of disparate elements. In the previous example, complexity, maybe there was from multiple countries and multiple products. Here, there was complexity of corporate standards and security, along with the digital experience that consumers want. Because at the end of the day, really, if it's not built in a way that consumers are going to interact with, it's not going to be successful. And so when digital first innovation, in my mind, starts with that consumer experience. That starts with saying, what is a customer looking for when they come to this app and this experience? The last slide I had is just something we're pretty excited about. It's not a customer story, but we've recently launched this in the US, and so we're really excited to talk about it. But especially given all that's happening with ChatGPT right now, Cyberbank Connecta is our empathetic, AI conversation engine. And so clients use this to manage conversations with their customers who are reaching out with problems, challenges, or sometimes simple inquiries, right? And so the way we think about Connecta is the world is increasingly moving towards some of these AI paradigms, but you need to be using one for banking that will answer the questions customers have, right? You can't really afford to get banking and payment questions wrong. And so Connecta is built, one, to be embeddable within a lot of different environments. So it's low code, it's embeddable, it's usable there. We've built it from a range of different NLP engines, but trained it on specific sentiment that is related to banking and payment products. And so the user-centered design here fits into those journeys we talked about. So it is not a bifurcation of I'm in my banking app, I'm having this conversation, now I need to go somewhere else. It's obvious I'm interacting with a bot. I have to click through these things. It's meant to be very seamless. It's meant to be very casual. It's multi-channel, multi-language. You can embed it in any of your digital channels like web, WhatsApp, and Facebook, and you can use English, Spanish, and a whole range of other languages. But most importantly, the journey it takes you on is meant to empathetically respond to the specific questions you have and then escalate as needed. A conversation engine is not going to solve every problem that a customer has, but where a lot of companies slip up is in the handoff there. You go through a whole experience with this conversation engine, and then at the end of it, you don't get an answer. You're starting to type in all caps and getting upset, and then it restarts a conversation with the agent. It just hands you off, and that person's like, let me go back and try to figure out what's going on. What's your account again? What's your name? This is meant to be a seamless, empathetic handoff that surfaces via sentiment analysis those indicators of kind of growing frustration and uneasiness, and then does a really nice handoff to an agent if they can't answer it. And so that way you're improving a customer digital experience versus kind of creating more frustration within a digital channel. So thanks all for listening. That brings us to the end of my presentation, Shaheen.
Thanks very much, Seth. Now let's hear from Brad at Accern.
Great. Thank you very much, Shaheen. I'm Brad Fisher, head of sales here at Accern, and we're going to talk about how Accern helps drive digital innovation across financial services clients. Our solution is a combination of big data and machine learning analytics, and how we're able to combine those to drive actionable insights. And we'll give you some examples of how we're creating value across the industry, as well as provide you with just a brief demo to be able to give you that hands-on feel for what this is, what it looks like, how it might be able to bring benefit in your organization. So what is it? What do we do? Well, we're a no-code natural language processing engine whose purpose is to uncover actionable insights from unstructured data. What does all that mean? It's NLP, as I mentioned, is a machine learning analytics solution designed to pick out, extract insights from textual data, specifically unstructured data. Best way to think about unstructured data is give you some examples. It's a news story, it's a blog post, social media, transcripts, financial reports, financial filings. It's data that comes in that big blob. It's not structured data that shows up in an API that's really easy for your platforms to understand and extract insights from. Key competitive drivers, key insights that are difference makers for your organizations aren't in that easy to find data, because that's what everybody's looking at. We want to help you find key, unique insights to help drive your business. And we want to help you implement it more quickly and analyze this data more accurately. Unstructured data is everywhere. Over 80% of the data across the world today is unstructured. The world is not full of a giant API. Data comes in big blobs. There's oceans of information out there. External information, like I talked about, news and blogs, generative AI, that's just creating more unstructured data, in addition to all the internal data that organizations have. We want to unlock the power that's inside this unstructured information. So what is the solution? Well, again, it's big data and industry-leading machine learning analytics. I'll show you what the process flow is, but when we're analyzing that data, say that news story, that blog post, we want to do a few things. There's a few models at play here. First, entity extraction. You're looking for people, places, and things. It could be companies, people, financial sectors, hedge funds, geographies, any kind of a noun, you're looking for people, places, and things that you want information on. But it's not just a keyword search, it's a smart extraction with a linkage technology. We're able to bring in other names. That's, say it's Apple Computer. We'll bring in other names that the company could be known by, their products, their competitors. So it's an intelligent entity extraction. Let's say it is Apple. Well, there's an awful lot of stories about Apple. We can't just bring those to you. People are interested in specific themes and topics. What is it you want to know about that company when they do something specific? When there's specific news on that company, you want to be notified. So a theme could be ESG. So you're interested in Apple computers and ESG news stories in the Pacific Rim. We'd be able to, again, narrow that focus, sharpen that laser, and start to bring out that information that you're looking for. Just to really top it off, as we're sharpening that laser, we're able to provide a sentiment analysis. Is this a positive or negative context? So is Apple's ESG news story, are they being presented in a positive or negative light? Again, sharpening that focus and helping to extract those key pieces of information that you're looking for from that really untamed ocean of unstructured information. What are the information? What are the benefits that this brings to the organization? As I mentioned, the key thing, we want to help you uncover unique insights from that ocean of unstructured alternative information. That can take the form of financial reports. Perhaps it's the investment part of the business, and you've got analysts reviewing financial reports. We can bring a lot of actionable insights to that, in addition to some efficiencies that we'll talk about. Traditional social media, any kind of third-party data that a company might be leveraging, in addition to their own internal data. Part of the digital transformation journey has been moving from file cabinets to warehouses in the cloud. People have done a great job of bringing together vast data resources. Where they struggle is extracting insights from those data resources. We can help take that and benefit from your investments in your data warehouses, in the data that you've collected. For what purpose? We want to help you make the best decisions. People are seeking that alpha piece of information to make the best decision, maybe around credit risk, due diligence, some kind of monitoring with companies within your portfolio. Both research and ESG are huge areas for us. ESG in particular, people know in the United States, we do this around the world, but in the United States, people know it's coming and they're still not sure what to do about it. We can boil that ocean of ESG information and help people understand how ESG is being discussed in their industry, how they're being perceived in the marketplace, what the kinds of commitments their competitors are making, or how their competitors are being perceived in the market. Finally, there's an efficiency play. Again, boiling that ocean, that laser focus, we're going to help transform what was a manual process where bodies were being thrown to leveraging AI, machine learning analytics, to extract those key pieces of information. I mentioned we're a no-code platform. What does that mean to you? That means rapid deployment. We want to get customers up, productive, and starting to benefit from that ROI in weeks, not months to years. That is a significant increase in getting that benefit now. pre-trained models, a no-code platform. That means rapid implementation. That means a rapid recognition of benefits from the platform. That's why people come to us. Sometimes people will want to build this in-house. We want to give you a quick exit to natural language processing, to extracting those unique benefits. We want to drive ROI from day one. If we're going to help you drive those key insights, we have to be accurate. There's a lot of NLP tools out there. Ours are pre-trained specifically for finance. And you can see here that we've got a high degree of accuracy compared to our competition. If you're going to seek alpha, that key piece of information, you need to be accurate. You need to actually be able to extract those insights. And we've got the white papers where we could prove the accuracy, and we'd be happy to share those. How does this work? What does this look like? This is a really simple example, but this news summary that we're showing here, this could be a 20-page news summary, one of the millions of data sources that are being analyzed on a daily basis. We've got 3 examples here of how we're extracting information from this summary. In the top right, we're showing how Amazon is the entity that you're looking for. Well, there's millions of stories about Amazon every day. Which ones do you want to know about? You're most interested in management change. Well, again, Amazon's a big company, lots of changes. You want to know specifically about stories with Jeff Bezos and Andy Jassy. We've been able to extract that story from the news and then apply the positive sentiment that goes with this, giving you that easily digestible piece of information. The next example, similarly, we're looking for Chipotle. You want to know about expansion and sales figures. We're able to extract this from that potentially very large document, extract those key pieces of information, and identify the sentiment. Similarly for GameStop, looking for short squeezes, we're able to apply a negative sentiment there. How does this work in your organization? We're focused on the far left today on the no-code platform. That's the end-to-end solution. And I'm going to show you the workflow and give you a quick demo of that. But some of our more sophisticated clients want to be able to break the solution up. We can do that too. We can provide the models. The customers can integrate themselves. Or we can become that data feed that feeds your own business analytics insights, still powered by our machine learning NLP models. But we're focusing on the full solution platform today. What does this flow look like? Really straightforward. Flexibility and simplicity are the key words here. Working left to right, easy data in, analytics in the middle, then the output into a platform. So on the left side, easy to get data in. Machine learning requires big data. We want to help you analyze millions of data sources daily. We've got some pre-integrated data sets to help our clients get up quickly, to get them into production in days. Dow Jones, Morningstar, FactSet, Moody's, all pre-built data sets that we can feed into the engine. We can work with your third-party data sources, your data warehouse. We've already built those connectors. Oftentimes, people want to upload their own documents, Excel spreadsheets, Word docs, analyst notes, other financial reports. We can work with all that. Easy to get data in. The analytics sits in the middle here. That's that entity extraction, the people, places, and things, and that linkage analysis. That theme, what is it that you want to know about that company, and then is it positive or negative? Finally, the data comes out of the system with more flexibility. I'm going to show you the Accern business intelligence platform, but we can work with your business intelligence platform, your CRM systems, your data warehouses, or your own analytics platforms. People will drop us into their existing scorecards or into their own engines for more additional analysis. So again, easy data in, easy to make that data flexible and usable and actionable on the way out. Hopefully, I'm painting the picture that starts to show that we can drive value across the organization. The strategic uses of our platforms are extremely common. The research, the early warning signals, identifying opportunities, cutting through that ocean of data and finding those key risk signals, really easy for us to do. Compliance, always a growing field, always risks associated there. Again, being able to find those nuggets of information that can make the difference between good and bad decisions, financial as well as operational. People using us in a call center environment, people using us for customer experience transcripts, as well as credit risk and underwriting. Really opportunities across the spectrum. One case study that I particularly like, it really shows the interesting use of alternative data, is the work that we do with Standard Bank. That's a South African bank. They found that one of their priorities was lending in the small, medium business category. However, due to the limited available insights, they weren't meeting the goals and needs of the organization, or really the needs of the customers that they serve. There was a big gap in that was driven by their inability to do effective risk evaluation. The solution, they came to us. We were able to find those nuggets of information across news and blogs scattered across the South African press and around the world. Thousands of entities built into their taxonomies, the classifications that they were evaluating. They took our output and dropped it into their existing risk models as a super attribute, really driven by that sentiment score. The outcome, they were able to increase their lending significantly, meeting the needs of their customers, increasing loans, and meeting the needs of the organization by generating additional loan revenue. It's a really neat story where we help the business meet their own needs and the needs of their customers by finding alternative, unique pieces of information. So, to summarize, quick and easy to implement, quick and easy to start to gather insights, all driven by machine learning, pre-trained for the finance and insurance markets. No training required, value on day one. Flexible and easy to deploy. What I will do here is give you just a quick screenshot, actually a demo, but show you some screens here from the platform to show you how it is point and click, how this is controllable by the business user. We're going to look at data sources, the entities, dropping in the NLP models, and then looking at this through business intelligence. And it's all point and click. So selecting the data sources, easy to select your own data, easy to select quarterly reports. I've selected public news. Click, that's our data source, done. Selecting the taxonomies, the people, places, and things that we want to evaluate. I've selected US equities, but there's thousands of possible choices for the entities that you want to select, or you can build your own custom taxonomies to do your own classification. Once we've selected that entity, we want to select the theme, the things that we want to be alerted on. So I've selected US equities, and I want to know about bankruptcy news. Again, just point and click. Being able to drop in the natural language processing models, just as easy as point and click. I've implemented 4 models here just through point and click, and the classification of the data that we want to see on the output. Done. How do I want to deliver this? Well, I'm going to show you through our built-in BI platform, but you could export this data into your own databases, more point and click, very easy to extract the data from the platform to be able to get insights. We're going to look at it through the Accern business intelligence screens. So data visualization, always important for those US equities focused on bankruptcies. What are the kinds of stories that we're seeing? What's big? What's making news today? What's been making news over time? These are the events that we're seeing. This is what's making news. Specifically, what are the signals that we're seeing? What are the news stories around bankruptcy? Well, there's quite a few here. Bed Bath & Beyond, obviously, and there's the sentiment score associated with Bed Bath & Beyond. So that is, very predictive. More data visualizations. This last one that I'll show you is the event sentiment over time. And this is all customizable. We'd set these up for how it works for you. But I think sentiment over time is really a great view into the companies, industries, verticals that you're tracking. Is the news positive or negative over time? And you can see that things have taken a turn recently. That rings true. Those are good insights to help you understand what you're tracking in your portfolios. So what I've tried to show you today is how Accern can help you leverage insights from unstructured data, what unstructured data is, how those alternative data sources can help you gain a competitive advantage in your markets. I appreciate you taking the time, and Shaheen, back to you.
Brad and Seth, that was really helpful, very insightful. At this point, I'd like to ask you some questions just to learn a little more from what you see from your experience. So from your perspective, what are the most important regulatory and technological trends in the digital banking space? Seth, if I can start with you.
Sure. Yeah, I mean, I think there's a couple of different trends you see, and most of them do revolve around, again, that consumer experience. So a number of both technological and regulatory changes that I think are coming have to do with consumer access to information or customer access to information, whether it's a consumer or bank, which is, as you think about banking, as you think about payments, how readily accessible is information about it. We see that in some of the open banking regulation in Europe, certainly, and some touches on in the US. But it gets really interesting in terms of impact on digital experiences, because the way digital experiences can be more seamless and consumer forward is in availability of information and speed of information and the ability to kind of create those interfaces for a customer to access anywhere and then port anywhere. And so I think one, from a digital standpoint, that will force incumbents who have not become as digital, who are still a little bit branch or let's say historic mainframe dependent, to start to shift their own processes and customer journeys to accommodate some of that, whether regulated or simply a technological requirement that consumers now have. And second, I do think that openness of information starts to make the customer journey the primary reason for stickiness. Whereas perhaps for a long time you had, well, my direct deposit is here, my information is here, I'm not going to switch my bank. In an open data world, that becomes a lot easier to make those transitions. And so it's good for you to create a very sticky customer journey and experience where the consumer is both empowered and enjoys kind of the digital interface you have as a means of keeping them as there becomes more competition due to that data availability.
And Seth, can I just ask you to double click a little bit more on that customer experience? Like, what do you think about customer experience today? What do you think providers are doing to improve it?
Mm-hmm. Well, I think, over the last 15 years, we've learned a lot about consumer needs and requirements. And if you look at several of the ecosystems that have grown up around this, whether this was ad tech, 10 to 15 years ago, or social tech the last 10 years, there has been a growing body of work around interactions with clients in a digital space. And so I do think we're seeing a lot of those learnings that education poured over now to finance, where over the last 10 years, it has really changed a lot. It's shifted a lot of how consumers interact with their bank and with money and the expectations they have. So I think we've hit the first wave of that, which has said, well, you have to be digital. You have to be on an app here. You have to have an experience. People have to be able to get certain things on the app, like their balance, like depositing a check, right? I recently joined an HOA board, or I should say was forced into joining an HOA board where I'm now the treasurer. And the first thing I did was shift the bank we use because I wasn't able to do remote deposit capture with the existing bank we had. And I'm like, this is just a basic, right? Like I've got to be able to deposit checks here using my phone. So I think there's a lot of those expectations, and we've seen the first wave of that happen. I think the next wave we see is a really interesting one of seeing more financial experiences embedded in other digital experiences and embedded in other customer journeys. And I think that forces a second wave of interaction or a second wave of innovation that has to do with consumer interaction, which is instead of going to check my balance on a bank app, where can I have that experience in other properties? Where can it be part of my purchasing experience? Where can it be part of my, overall, if I'm getting working capital, how can that be part of my checkout experience or my partnership with another vendor? So I think we're seeing a lot more of that embedded nature, which is built on top of this initial digital footprint, which is again built on just the digital journey we've all been on over the last 20 years.
That's interesting. And Brad, what is your perspective here? And including, I'll just throw in one more question in there that, what do you think about the whole customer journey, as well as what kind of features and services do you see your customers asking for, or you see your industry requiring as we go along?
Yeah, that's a great question. Customers have a clear expectation of rapid service, rapid recognition of their needs, and an understanding of what they're trying to get from our customers. So where NLP can come into play there is around the work that we can do in call centers. There's more automation there all the time, but people have an expectation of human level interaction. So we can help drive those insights from the automated call center sessions, as well as help the organization learn where they're struggling, where they're coming up short, where their workflows are effective and where they're not. You had asked about compliance. There's really two phases where we do a lot of work. Due diligence is more important than ever. Really understanding the risk, the compliance risk of the know your customer's customer, understanding beneficial ownership. Who are the people in the background associated with these companies? That's buried in unstructured data and financial filings out there. We can help extract that. The other piece that I touched on in my discussion was around ESG. People around the globe are struggling with ESG. It's chaotic, and we can bring structure to that in understanding how industries are being perceived, how companies are being perceived, how the competition's being perceived. Those are probably the two top areas.
That's really helpful. And let me also ask you both, from your perspective, our customers think deeply about ROI on products that they buy. What is your experience and what is your perspective on potential cost savings or revenue benefits that our customers think about when they think about digital transformation?
Sure, I can jump in first. It's absolutely great question and completely pertinent to what we do here at Accern. As I mentioned, we're a no-code platform, so we are built around helping customers achieve rapid ROI. We want implementation in days to weeks, not months to years, as you would see with a custom solution. We can package the data and the analytics and help them see the insights from the output. So we're built around helping customers have a rapid recognition of ROI. Great question.
Yeah, it's a really interesting question. I do think similarly, a lot of the infrastructure we're replacing is 1970s, 80s, 90s architecture that was built for initial banking. And so if you look at kind of overall cost of that equipment has been paid down over time. So from one argument, you say, well, this isn't costing us anything right now. But the truth is it's costing banks and bankers a lot when it comes to launching new products. So on historic systems, you're unable to launch newer products, newer lending products, digital debit products. Like all those things are very difficult to do in old systems. So while you might have paid down the cost of the basics, you are unable to launch new products. And every new product you launch carries this enormous investment for you. So I think what we've seen is in the digital space, the ability to create a platform where you can seamlessly launch multiple products built on the same managed backend significantly reduces the cost of new products and increases your customer retention. Right? Because the reason customers are leaving now is like, one, they don't enjoy the process of having to go into a retail branch to deposit a check. Two, they don't get access to the number of products they need. And so we're seeing the number of banking products every consumer has actually increase across time as they say, well, I'm going to go serve this way. I'll have a wallet over here. I'll do crypto over here. I'll do my bank account over here, and then I'll do my credit over here. By bringing together a seamless process to launch those new products, you retain stickiness and do create a flywheel of financial products there where you sell and resell to customers. So I think the initial cost there is very low because you're building on the backs of launching these new products. I especially think that cost is going to continue to decrease as we get to some of those compliance pieces we talked about earlier, where just access to information is going to be so critical, and pulling information out of historic banking systems is not easy. So the more digital you are, the more modern you're built, the more in the cloud you are, the easier you can build those experiences, but also give consumers the data that may be required, but also that they desire.
That's helpful. So thank you so much, Brad and Seth. Thank you for sharing your experience and perspectives. With that, let us move to the AWS Marketplace and what this product is. So for those of you who haven't heard about our service, AWS Marketplace, this is a curated digital catalog. This catalog makes it easy for customers to find, buy, deploy, and manage third-party software, services, and data that customers need to build solutions and run their businesses. Independent research from Forrester shows that it takes about half the time to find, buy, and deploy a solution through AWS Marketplace compared to other sales channels. AWS Marketplace offers quick, easy, and secure deployment, flexible consumption and contract models, and streamlined procurement and billing operations. We have many resources available to help you learn more about the solutions we covered today, and many more that are available from AWS Marketplace. Check out these resources from Galileo, Accern, and AWS Marketplace for more information about solutions that can help accelerate digital banking and innovation. With that, let me hand it back over to you, Neil, and let us know if you have any other questions for the panelists.
Thank you, Shaheen. Thank you, everyone. Thanks to all of you. I'm conscious of the time we have left today, so before we head off to our next break, I'll just finish with one last question, if I can. One thing we've been talking about an awful lot today at FinTech Live New York is the customer journey. And we've looked at different aspects of that journey on all sides of the glass and various depths of the glass, as we were just saying there, Seth. The question I want to put to all of you, though, is, and if you could try and keep this into around 30 seconds if we can, just how important it is that everyone involved that's got an influence on the journey and works in a collaboration together to accelerate that innovation.
Yeah, I could go first. So I think very important, because again, as we think about consumers' expectations of any digital journey now, it is that is seamless. It's that I can do more things, I can do them more easily, I can do them from multiple different applications, whether it's mobile or website, et cetera. So there's a high consumer expectation here. In some ways, it's easier to serve that today because we have the cloud infrastructure we do where you can replicate and recreate these things. But I do think it takes a little bit of a mind shift to say, well, how am I building this the right way to serve that expectation? But I do think it's critical to customer retention, customer attraction, and kind of long-term ROI that you have that seamless experience, a little bit like the example I had walked through about building into 5 or 6 different countries where someone travels, they may expect the same and similar experience. It's very important to maintain that seamless nature of it.
Brad, to you.
Yeah, I'd jump in from a slightly different perspective from our clients' journey, and the digital transformation and digital innovation across the industry has been something that we've been talking to clients about for 10 years or more, building these great data assets, capturing the information, linking systems together, and they've created oceans of data that are unusable in large part. So we feel like we're one of the final legs on our customers' digital journey to help them benefit and leverage the insights that they've built across these previous many years and millions of dollars. Let's unlock that data that they've put together.
Shaheen, Brad, Seth, thank you so much for your time. Thank you for joining us here at FinTech Live New York. We'll be right back after this short break.